annoying, guys, but it's so white, you can't even tell. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the HearHerHands knitting podcast. My name is Jennifer, and I am a deaf crocheter, knitter, sewist, quilter, and all-around creative person who lives in Baltimore with my partner and 3 miniature schnauzers and 2 black cats. So here on my podcast, I talk about cozy knitting. I'm doing some of the other crafts, including crochet, quilting, sewing, and the things I use to make those crafts accessible to me as someone who has a chronic illness and an energy limiting disability. So, here we are. It is the last official week before Christmas. Happy Vlogmas if you've been following everyone's Vlogmases. I intended to be involved in Vlogmas. I did a couple of videos at the very beginning, started out strong and crashed and burned. And I will talk a little bit about what happened and why that happened at the end of the podcast in the life update section if you're interested. And if you're not interested, because life updates are not crafts and especially not knitting, feel free to go ahead and hop out when I do the little life update slide. So since we are still right before the Christmas season, I will review the only gift knit I've made, and I will review my ideas and would love your advice for maybe a really quick and somewhat simple gift knit as well, more for the beginning of the new year for someone who has an early spring birthday. So, first gift knit, and pretty much the only gift knit I did this year, as I shared last time, I had completed it, and then I decided just this week, actually just last night, that I felt like, because this kerchief doesn't, because I expanded it the way I expanded it, it doesn't have the tie, because I didn't do the whole, basically knit a giant square. I didn't do that because I was worried about running out of time. So I cut it off halfway, it looks like a giant triangle, right? So then I thought, well, this person that I'm knitting it for probably would like to be able to keep track of it, and especially when you're sick or in the hospital and not feeling well, it's easy, or for me anyway, it's easier to have something that's tied on or buttoned on. So I decided to knit some ties for this so that she can just tie it around her neck, especially in the hospital. You know how hospital gowns are open in the back and it's always just cold and uncomfortable. So it's nice to have something on your back that's warm. That is since this is a color work, it's 2 layers of yarn, and it's just really thick and cozy. A lot less air can go through it, but I wanted to make sure that you keep track of, so I'm knitting these little ties. So I've got one side, or actually crocheting these ties. So one side tie is done, and I'm going to finish the other side today, and then this will go in the mail to go off to its holiday giftie, who, I mean, it's going to be late. But everyone who knows me and loves me knows that I have a hard time with timeliness when it comes to things like mailing, because I don't like going to the post office. So that is unfortunate, but that is finished. So that pattern, let me remind you of what that pattern is. That pattern that I knit the Pressed Flowers Kerchief, which is a free pattern by Amy Christophers, and I knit it in Premier Basic. It's acrylic. I believe it's a worsted weight yarn. So I knit it in the Premier Basic, and I knit it on the suggested 4.5 millimeter needles, which is US 7. And I knit this. Basically, I doubled the size, pretty much. So that pattern, and that pattern has been on the needle. I guess it's been on the needle for more days now. So that is my gift knit, the only gift knit that I am doing. And then go on to our Fix It knitting, or other knitting patterns now. If you've seen my stuff before, you may be about as tired as I am of this pattern. But I'm so close. So for my Fix It Fall, I am finishing up my sweater by Yarn Over Everything. This is a stubble field sweater. I am knitting size 1 in Lion Brand Kobu in the color Admiral, which is a sort of a dark denim-y blue color. So I wanted the sleeves to be not finished. Oh no, I didn't finish the sleeves. So I had knit one sleeve, and then I had issues trying to knit the second sleeve because I didn't knit them at the same time. So I knit both sleeves at the same time so that I could do the decreases at the same time, and then I did the Italian cast off on the sleeve, and so they're still not the same. Okay then, so much for that. I have this. I have started working on unpicking the Italian cast on, Italian bind off for the hem, and I'm finding that very unpleasant, but it is short, and I would like it to be longer. So I can try this on for you. In fact, I will do that quickly. But I'll do that in the end. I'll put in a B-roll for this. So I'll try this on for you in the B-roll and show how it's done. Kind of short and needs a couple more inches of ribbing to cover the length that I prefer. So that is my Double Field Sweater Test Knit by Yarn Over Everything in the color, in the size 1. And that has been on my needles for 133 days. Next, as far as older whips, not older than that, newer whips? I guess they're newer whips, so newer than this. So after this, yikes. I started this, which I showed in my last podcast as well, and I showed it on my dressmaker form. This is the body of the Salty Days. So I am about halfway through my twisted rib, and I decided I wanted to finish my actual test knit with a deadline, so I put this down. But as far as I've got all of the ribbon I need on the back. I have half of the ribbon I need on the front, and then I have to pick up for the neckband and do the sleeves. So this is gorgeous, all over textured lace and cable sweater by Katova Kika, who is Veronica Lindbergh, and I joined this pattern, or started knitting this pattern as a part of a knit along hosted by Haley Space and Morgan Unraveled, and that began at the beginning of September. I think it was September 10th. So when I began this in September, I did a lot of like going back and forth between this and other patterns because I kept having issues. Like I had to reknit the keyboard section at least twice, and I had to reknit this second lace diamond section like 5 times. It was a pain in the butt, honestly. I finally got it to work, but I made it work by kind of doing a slightly different variation on that lace pattern. So I have this pattern. This is knit in also it's in Line brand. This is Superwash Merino in the color Quail, which is pretty dusty gray purple, which is very much a soft summer color. And this pattern has this knit along ended at the end of November, but I'm still trying to finish this because we are just now getting into the very cold season in Baltimore, and I know I will get a lot of fur out of it once it's done. So this has been on my needles for 106 days. With one more sweater. So as far as sweaters go, I am working on a test knit for you tangled. Hold on. Yikes. Okay. Still tangled. Anyway, I'm working on a test knit. This is a test knit for Sarah's Handmakes. And Sarah's Handmakes knit herself a sweater that is a very oversized V-neck raglan with 2x2 knit ribbon in the cuff and the bottom, and also the neck. I did my neck slightly differently because I wanted not mohair on my neck, so I just did the cotton yarn, which is Pattons Grace, which is just an all 100% cotton yarn in the color navy blue. So I have completed one sleeve, and I completed my 2x2 board knit. I almost said second band. Cuff. I did the cuff, and I did not an Italian cast off. I did a different style of cast off, and it's also not the bind off in pattern that she said we could use. But I think it's nice. It's very stretchy. So it's nice. I really love the color. Here is the body of the sweater. And I'm about halfway through the second sleeve. So we're getting there. Once I finish the sleeve, the cuff, all I have left to do is the really long 2x2 inch, no, 2x2 ribbon hem on the bottom, and that's split hem. So we're getting there. I will also show you this in a slide in a Fuel. So. My sweater is knit in, as I said before, Pattons Grace, which is in 100% cotton and a strand of mohair that I found. I thrifted it. All I know is it's an angora type mohair, and it is purple, teal, and orange, which I felt like was very fitting for mountains and seas. Like, it very much reminds me of the mountains in Colorado, especially with the purple. And the orange and gold reminds me of Athens, and the teal reminds me of ocean. So I felt like that's fitting. So that pattern has been on my needles for 56 days. And then my next project is a home good, which is the special edition basic sunburst pillow pattern in Feels Like Butter from my brand, which I will get those for you later. So I spent a lot of time upstairs this week with the dogs. While I was up there, I find that positioning has a lot to do with whether or not I can knit. So I can't knit very well in our bedroom. It's just not, I'm not upright enough or whatever. So I worked on these and I added 2 more of the sunburst squares. And honestly, I think I can join these together for the front part of my pillow now, which I might do this evening. So I have this pretty little square. But now that I've been doing it so often, I have it memorized, and I can knit this in the dark, or crochet this in the dark. So when we went down to Annapolis a couple weeks ago, I was knitting or crocheting when we went through the tunnel under the harbor, and it was like pitch black in there, and I found out then that I can crochet without seeing what I'm doing. So I crocheted this. Also, I have added 1 more of these Hexies for my summer fade. I've got the gray, and the like pink tan still. And I think I might do like 2 or 3 more Hexies left in the amount of gray yarn I have, and I can go into a different color. So this that I just showed you is I'm also crocheting the is it called the Summer Fade Hexie blanket, which is by the same maker as the special edition Sunburst. Both of those, I'm using their blog or website for the pattern. And it helps me a lot if I'm like already on the internet reading off the website to go look up different stitches. Although now that I have them fairly memorized, I don't need it, but I keep it up just in case, right? So that blanket I am doing as part of the WKKT blanket line, which is wool something with Knitting Traditions. So Knitting Traditions is doing a blanket along. I believe it's going until March, and I am participating in that. And I hope that we will actually get to do a road trip sometime soon, so that I can spend more time crocheting and less time walking my dogs every 5 minutes. But yeah, it's going slower than I would like it to go. So I mentioned the stocking project last time I was on here, and I did a couple more rows, and then I realized that because it was color work and because I had a couple of like serious deadlines that I probably wasn't going to make that deadline for knitting a stocking for Christmas. And also on top of that, like the smaller ones, I really had wanted to knit enough of the small stockings for all 5 of our little fluff balls, and knitting 5 stockings in like a month was an ambitious undertaking. So I gave myself a break and stopped trying to do that. But I feel like what I'm going to end up doing for that is I think I'm going to make a goal of doing like 1 stocking every 2 or 3 months for the next year. And so by next Christmas, I'll have all of them done. I'll have enough stockings for the whole family. And I mean, honestly, I'm just putting like a dog bone and a crinkle ball in each, so they don't need to be big. But I still want them to be big enough that they don't look weird on my giant mantle. So I am going to continue working on those, but it will take time. Alright, so if you are interested in life updates and hearing about where I've been and why my attempt to Vlogmas at all came crashing down around my ears, you're welcome to stay for the next couple of minutes. And if not, I so appreciate you. I appreciate you coming. I appreciate you supporting my knitting. Ooh, wait, go back. All right, let's go back. So one other thing I was thinking about is I have a EK Superwash in like a gray brown color yarn that I want to make a gift for a friend for the early spring. So they have a spring birthday. So my thought was I want to do a cowl, and I want to do one that's like a long, it's easy to wrap. But it needs to be an interesting pattern that makes a single color interesting, but not so complicated that it's one of those that you have to look at a chart or look at the pattern the whole time you're knitting it. So I had originally started with working on the herringbone stitch cowl from Krall Soho, but the second round of herringbone is, I don't understand how to do it, and I mean, maybe if you have resources for that one, I can continue working on that. I think the cowl is beautiful, but I can't seem to get the going back way to stay. Like, it almost feels like I'm unknitting my herringbone when I'm trying to knit back the other way, and I'm clearly doing something wrong. That's not how it's supposed to work, right? So that is kind of the thing I'm trying to do. Or I would happily take your recommendations for a long, sort of like one of those, not an I think an infinity cowl is where you twist it. So basically, I just want a long cowl where you can wrap it around your neck multiple times. So it's like a scarf, basically, if that makes sense. So I would love your recommendations for that sort of pattern in like a UK loop. And then now we'll go back to life updates. As far as life updates go, the main reason my attempt at Vlogmas kind of crashed and burned was a couple 2 weeks ago now, I think. We moved into this house last year, and we have never liked the dishwasher. I had to run it on like the highest, hottest setting to get it to even get anything off the plate. And it made me feel like I was going back to the days when my parents' dishwasher was starting to die, and we like hand washed all the dishes and then ran them through the dishwasher to sanitize them, which now I'm thinking about it, I'm not sure if it makes sense. But the dishwasher mostly worked. if I ran it for the longest time on the highest, hottest setting, right? So that felt really wasteful. And also, Black Friday came along. There was sales, as so we decided to replace it. So we went with one from a big box store. And also we live in Baltimore City. So if you're not from around here, what you probably won't know is that Baltimore, majority of houses, at least in my part of Baltimore, were built in the late 1800s, early 1900s. So nothing is particularly standard size. Like, doors are just not standard size. And this is super common across the city, and it's basically a thing that we all kind of recognize and deal with, right? So the front of our house is not standard size. The back of our house is an addition, so the door entrance and getting to the kitchen is standard size, luckily. So the dishwasher would be fine to go through the back. It would fit. It would require still going up a flight of stairs because both entrances to our house have a flight of stairs. So what happened was the company sent contractors to deliver and install, and they came in the front, and I was trying to get them to go around the back, so I took them around the back and showed them, and they're like, oh, no, we just have to look at it first, and then we'll like see about bringing it around the back. So I trusted them, which was my first mistake. And also my partner works from home, but he was on a work call at the moment. So they started unhooking things, and then I was confused and concerned, so I went downstairs and talked to my partner and was like, so I see this is going on, can you help me? Because we discussed making sure that this goes around the back, right? And so he came up and talked to the gentleman and showed them how we had other appliances delivered to the house before and how they had to go around back, go through the alley and up the stairs. And they were like, they didn't really say anything, actually. They were unsure. With me, they were like, no, we can't. We have to go through the front. With him, they didn't really answer him or respond. But after he showed them that and said, hey, here, this is the washer and dryer that went to the back, this is how they took it through, it clearly wasn't a problem. It's the exact same measurements. Can you please do it this way? And they said they didn't really respond. And also, they had already unhooked the dishwasher from the water hose and unconnected all the electrical before they brought the other one in. So when he asked them to do this, like within 5 minutes, they had walked out the back door. They hadn't said anything to him or anything to me. They just left, and they left the dishwasher as it was. Right, everything was unhooked. Everything was unplugged. The electrical was honestly, that's probably a fire hazard. And they left, and then I noticed like 2 minutes after they left, I went downstairs and told my partner, and he was like, "Oh my god, what happened? Why didn't you tell me?" And I was like, "Because I just noticed." Right? So that happened, and we were like, called the company. They couldn't do anything because it was still in transit. They couldn't refund us because it was still in transit. There's this whole like loop of. Have you ever been in the like support call center loop? You know what I'm talking about, right? Oh, we can't do that because it's still in transit, so we can't do this until it gets back to the warehouse, or they're still delivering it, and we're like, yeah, but they left, right? So that's what happened, and they couldn't do anything. So we were like, okay. and I don't remember everything that happened because honestly, stuff like this is really traumatizing to me. But after, I think it was maybe the evening, I went downstairs to take care of the cats. We have a room, like our cat litter box in the basement. So I went downstairs to take care of the cats, and lo and behold, water is pouring out of the basement ceiling because the dishwasher is right over that room. So they had unhooked everything, and basically all the water that was hooked up in the dishwasher was pouring into our basement. And so we had to have water remediation come. We had to have call homeowners, insurance. We had to get a different dishwasher delivered from a different company. And I'm not even entirely sure what happened with this dishwasher. I think we may have to like dispute the payment. So we don't have a dishwasher. We have water in our house. We have, when water remediation company comes in, we have these giant fans in the kitchen, right? And like, so my whole house is fan noise. And then on top of that, the next day, the top, the like refrigerator part of our fridge freezer combo is not cooling. So now no longer have a refrigerator. I swear to God. So currently the water at the house has dried out. We've gotten a different dishwasher delivered by a different company. Our homeowner's insurance is dealing with the money part of it. I still don't have a refrigerator. It has been a month, and that is just the house part of it, right? We also have ongoing like health problems. I got really sick. I have started getting sick again this week. We don't have a fridge, so like eating is challenging. And on top of that, originally we were planning on leaving last week to go visit family in Texas, in our Airstream. However, when Wes went to check on our Airstream, because we have to keep it in an indoor storage warehouse because aluminum can't be out in ocean air because the salt damages it. So it's in like a temperature and air controlled warehouse. So he went down there, and the batteries in the Airstream are not functioning, and they're these like special, super difficult to get batteries. And so he tried to get some of those like sent, and it will be like 12 weeks. So in theory, maybe we'll go somewhere in the spring in our Airstream. Maybe once we get batteries. And once we fix all the things that have just exploded in our kitchen. But that is the life update. And so it's just been a lot. And it's been a month. So yeah. I hope that against all the odds you have had a much better December than my family has, and that you are enjoying the holiday, that you are enjoying whatever holiday you celebrate, that you are enjoying winter, the winter solstice, and maybe you're actually getting snow, which we are not. And I hope that you can spend the end of the year with your family being cozy and knitting, maybe casting on a special New Year's Eve project. I am still kind of debating on if I want to do that, but the first thing I need to do is finish this. So until then, we're building something here, and all the pieces matter. You matter so much to me. I so appreciate you being here. If you stayed through all of the life update rigmarole, You are really my favorite. Thank you so much. Until then, I would love to hear what you were working on while you were visiting with me. And I would also love to hear what special Christmas pattern or New Year's pattern you're thinking about casting on over the last week of this year. And finally, till then, my name is Jennifer. I am HearHerHands, and you can find me here. You can find me on Instagram and on Ravelry. All of those places I am under the same name. And I hope you enjoyed your stay. So please give us a like and subscribe. Feel free to comment down below. And may you have a very merry and very happy holidays, as my boys would say. Bye.